One of my favorite sets of them are metal detectors. And for instance, I'm showing you a metal detector, which if I hold it up to a real metal object, let's say, I can't use my head, I had a key. Handily, I have a Pop-Tart wrapper. Let's see if this will work. It's okay, not great. But I do have my keys. I had my keys. Let's use the tip of this charger. Let's just say you want to know. Yep, and there it is. There are several different free apps that do this, and all of them are fairly good. They're not all exactly the same readout. You know, this is more of an analog type, but the metal detector, this one is just a simple bar. So like, here's the same type of app, and I run a magnet around it, and I'm not a magnet, but a piece of metal. Well, it's definitely detected it now. One of the most interesting things that all these apps that use this type of, like levels, I have levels that I've downloaded, they all calibrate and are fairly easy to calibrate. Since I upgraded, I didn't put my level back on. If you want to navigate this phone's folders, and they do have folders, as you would, let's say, a media card, you download the Astro file app. It's free. And there's also the one, if you want to hook it up to, let's say, your charger, you want to hook it up to your USB port and do it, you have to download the Astro let's see, it's called, it's another part of the Astro thing, and it's just a plug-in called the Astro SBC or something like that. You'll see it when you look for Astro in your apps. I know how that sounds, but it's really not necessary, but you sure can navigate your phone via that app. Now this review is stretching along pretty well, but you guys can skip around if you want. I get my email on this phone. That's fairly easy. That's boring stuff, but everybody does that. But one of the more interesting apps is the Our Groceries app. My girlfriend was hard to win over this one, but once done, anytime I have a whim while she's at Walmart, or if I'm at Walmart and she's at home, you can use the phone. You can say what you want and add it to any number of lists that you create, and it's a very simple interface that is also touch driven. There's no problems really with the touch interface. Like when you touch something and you want to move it, it's very easy on this phone's touch interface. And I've made plenty of personal little lists, like errands, the Dollar Tree. We have one nearby, Big Lots, Aldi's, Flealand even, for her, for me, hardware, things that I have to do for work. I just use it for lists in general, and it updates fairly regularly and fairly quickly. If once shared, this app does a pretty good job of regularly updating. One I've not gotten to work yet is a disc golf mapping utility. It's supposed to show you like if you tell it what hole you're on, I suppose, it's going to tell you the layout of the course as if you didn't have the sign. But there's Open Office app. I'm just looking at the other ones I have. Shop Savvy, which became big last Christmas, and Shop Savvy was the ultimate shopping tool. When you walk into Walmart, you scan a UPC code. Walmart started actually matching the prices. If they came up, let's say, with the Kmart price was lower than you saw that you were about to check out with at Walmart, yeah. Let's see, a Gas Buddy, which is big right now because gas prices are so inordinately high. There's a new shopping app I'm trying called Red Laser. Again, the GPS was something I found recently, and I was just so I love that so much that I'm seriously thinking about replacing my car stereo with this phone as long as I can amplify it, and then I would have a GPS, which is very one thing I want to tell you about the GPS, and I should organize these better, but if you stick around to the end, you're going to find the GPS catches up with you. I've used just a couple of other GPSs, and I've heard other people talk about them. I've read online reviews, and people hate them because the things they do. Yeah, some of that funny ads are really funny because they seem to want to own you. If you go a different route, you know a different way, or you know a better way, you won't be lost with this app, but when you know a better way, it catches up with you immediately, within 1 second, using Google mapping utilities. Some of the new apps I'm fooling with and I'm looking at right now are remote control apps for Windows, webcam apps, so I can leave this somewhere if I don't need it, and I can watch the cats, or you could watch your kids. And one of these apps was written by a guy, obviously, who has a home business. He says it in the review and in the description of the app. It's called, let me see here, mobile webcam, all one word. And this is what you're seeing, my palm. Pretty cool, huh? If I could get it right in front of myself, I'd be like Max Headroom. But anyway, Max Headroom reference. Ha ha! Well, this is a really cool phone. The shortcomings, again, as soon as I bought it, Windows phones came out. And honestly, I'm no conspiracy theorist, but I wanted to share with you, there is no way that Windows didn't have something to do with them not getting Netflix Play capability. Sure, you have Netflix apps, but for like 2 years, I've read the online reviews and their own blog sites and their own community sites. People have been saying stuff like, they're coming out with a Netflix app that's going to make this thing play videos. It's going to have Java capability. Well, the problem with that is that they advertised Java internet capability on this phone for like 2 years. When it finally came out, yeah, it has limited JavaScript, but JavaScript and Java are two different things. It's not going to play Netflix until Microsoft has achieved its share of that market. With Silverlight, Microsoft, for the noobs, Microsoft owns an Adobe Flash-like plugin that is required for your operating system to run Netflix movies, to play Netflix movies. Some 64-bit operating systems even have trouble with that if you're running Windows. But you're not going to be able to do it with Linux or Ubuntu either. So that's what Microsoft is doing with their affiliation with Netflix, is they're pretty much owning that market. So when they came with their phones, I immediately wanted to douse this sucker, to ditch it, and to sell it on like some private auction, sell it to Best Buy to get a card, and I could have gotten $2 less than what I paid for it. Well, I didn't want to do it because I got the same phone as my girlfriend, and what ended up happening was I just grew to like this phone so much, and I heard every time somebody brags about iPhone, I'm like, well, what are you bragging about? Okay, I'm listening to what they're bragging about. I'm like, my phone does that, my phone does that, my phone does that. You can have a million apps, but there are trashy apps for this too. Completely trashy apps. The reviews will say, ditch this app, it's a crappy app. But if it won't do what you want it to do, I just wish we could all try our phones before we buy for like a week. Try before you buy would be a wonderful thing. Also, the cell phone companies are not going to do. You have to go by what other people say. This phone, I'm going to let this video run to 20 minutes, which is way too much for YouTube. I may cut it into 2 parts, but this phone is worth having if you if you want to use it for business even. Again, the suggestion I have that I'm eventually going to do is put it in my junker, my car, because of the FM radio. I don't think I hit upon that for more than a hot second. It actually has an FM radio. If I just said AM, there's an FM radio right there, which actually works if you plug your ear pods to it. You have to put your earbuds on it though, because it actually uses, let's see where the camera is. When you plug it up, it's not going to work. Here, I'll show you what it does. FM radio will scan and not work until you plug your headphones in, because it uses your ear pods or your buds, a wire as an antenna. See there, it's scanning. It's off, but it's going to find our local 93.3. And it does a really good job. One more thing I want to add, and the reason I wanted to let this video run to the full 20 minutes. This phone has problems with Bluetooth. Okay, I'm a computer expert in my own right, and I do a lot of building computers, and I've bought anything. I've tried to connect this phone to the Bluetooth, in anything from a cheap Chinese thing that I had shipped over from overseas via eBay, one of the little Bluetooth dongles they call them. They're actually the shape of your thumbnail, this little arc shaped thing. The smaller ones, they won't connect. It won't do a very good job. I've only found it connects on one, and that's an old IO Gear one I got from Walmart about 2 years ago. So that's lousy. You're supposed to be able to, once it did connect, it did a great job of doing what Windows says it can do via Bluetooth. It can answer the phone. Even if this phone's in another room, you can answer it. You know how like some people were able to, a few years ago to answer their phones over their television, even up to 10 years ago? That was freakishly wild when you saw that. Well, this phone, you can do that if you have the right Bluetooth device to receive from this phone. If you don't, you're out of luck. More on that later. My time is up.